Hello, my name is Professor Dawson. This is English 1101. I'm going to show you how to use the Hemingway app. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. All right. So it's at hemingwayapp.com. There are others that are like this, such as Grammarly or a few others. This one is free unless you want the desktop app, which you can pay. Hang on a second. Motorcycle. You can pay to have it on your desktop and use it without the internet. Otherwise, it's free at hemingwayapp.com. I do recommend, like, I don't own this site or anything like that. I do recommend you use it for all your writing, not just for my class, but even emails and stuff like that, or maybe your resume or cover letters. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste. So all I did was take out what was there. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste a paragraph, introductory paragraph that we used for correction for 0999 class. Okay. All right. So this is 126 words, just an introductory paragraph. It's showing it grade 10 for readability. Aim for 9, it says, but I wouldn't worry about that so much for nonfiction writing or essay writing for your courses. If you're trying to be a fiction author, then I would recommend, trying to adjust your sentence structure to work for, say, junior high or something like that is sort of the common denominator, trying to get your stuff down at junior high level. But for college, it's fine. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Again, showing 126 words. You can have it show more, the letters, characters, words, sentences, paragraphs, right? You can have it show less. What I do want you to pay attention to, I would recommend copying and pasting your entire paper into here and then going through it, reading it out loud. Not everything needs to be fixed that the Hemingway app shows up with. So, for example, let's just look at, you've got color codes over here, okay, that show you the different things that it notices. All right, so let's go ahead and just read this. The government has a responsibility to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Something that your word processor or the Hemingway app won't show up. In this case, we're talking about the Constitution of the United States, so it's probably going to be capitalized, okay? The use of drones soils the very thing we fought for, freedom. Again, not the best way to say that. The Hemingway app doesn't necessarily pick up on that. We don't necessarily want to bring in we. And this word here too, thing, okay, that's very abstract. It's not really conclusive as a word. So the very thing we fought for, freedom, really. And then the use of drones soils, okay, that's not that great. The Hemingway app doesn't bring that up, but probably want to say something else there. The government has responsibility to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Okay, cool. Fine, first sentence. The use of drones, let's just say, use a different word, ruins what it's referring to is what early Americans, and then instead of saying freedom there, I would just go like this, okay? Well, early Americans, use of drones ruins the freedoms. And I would say instead of maybe ruins, I would go treads. It goes on that old like tread on me thing. Use of drone treads on the freedoms that instead of what, okay? Early Americans fought for, okay? Cool. I mean, that's fine. It's not the greatest, but it's fine. I might do this 10 different ways every time, but let's look at what this says. It says, in this case, it's color-coded, right? So it says, two of 7 sentences are hard to read. Drones are constantly checking up on everyone and denying them their simple right of privacy. It's got an adverb in there. Not all adverbs are evil, but you want to eliminate as many adverbs as possible. Do you need constantly there? If you don't really need it, then don't use it. Adverbs end in ly are usually helping out verbs in some way, or like an adjective for verbs. So drones are checking up on everyone And instead of everyone, are they really checking up on everyone? On citizens, right? And denying them their simple right of privacy. Okay, that's fine. So we just kind of fix that sentence, right? In doing so, and this is, again, it's showing is a hard to read sentence. In doing so, it undermines the principles of the founding fathers, and this could lead to a weaker democracy, and Americans can lose their rights. Okay, in doing so, it. Okay, I don't like it very much anyway, just because it's not very descriptive, and you have to refer to what it is. In this case, it's like drones or the use of drones or whatever. It's referring to 2 sentences back, so it's not really useful. Okay. In doing so, it undermines the principles of the founding fathers, and this could lead to a weaker democracy, and Americans can lose their rights. In this case, we already alluded to early Americans over here, so let's just go ahead and eliminate that whole thing right there. Now, it's hard to delete your writing sometimes, but it's really necessary. All right, in fiction, we call this killing your babies. This could lead to a weaker democracy in Americans. Is the apostrophe needed there? Again, this app isn't going to pick up on it. Word is necessarily not going to pick up on it, but it's not really there. It's just a plural. This could lead to a weaker democracy, and Americans can lose their rights. That's fine. I mean, it's not the greatest, but we'll leave it as it is. Most families agree in saying that the excessive use of drones is an invasion of privacy. Okay, in this case, this was kind of a ghost sentence. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of it. Most families, okay, we already talked about invasion of privacy. We don't really need it. Okay, again, this sentence starts with it, and this says one phrase has a simpler alternative. So it's showing that this whole phrase right here has a simpler alternative. Complex sentence, replace or omit. Okay, it's saying do. Okay, just putting in ways to do this goal without violating. This whole thing needs to be changed. So it does have some autocorrect in here, but you can't always go with that. It can be argued. Okay, saying it can be argued has its place in time, but it's not that necessary to use. All right. So I would say, what is it really getting at? It can be argued that it is for America's protection. And again, I would just go ahead and, because you are arguing it, this is argumentative essay introduction. So I would just go ahead and say, for America's protection against terrorism and for the better part of its safety, but there are other ways to do this goal without violating America's basic rights and homes. So we need to fix this sentence. This is kind of the thesis sentence here. So for America's protection against terrorism, okay, I see what they're saying with it can be argued that it's for America's protection. Some might suggest, okay, that the use of drones is for America's protection against terrorism, period. Let's just stop right there. See what it just did? Now, instead of having a simpler alternative, it's fine, okay? And then and for the better part of safety, but there, okay, again, this is the thesis, okay? Whoops. Okay, there are better ways to do this. To do what? Okay, to do this goal, that's not really relevant. There are better ways to protect America without violating basic rights and homes, okay? Not the greatest thesis sentence in the world, but as you can see, we've kind of cleaned this thing up a little bit, taken out some of the nonsense. We've used the Hemingway app to do it. A lot of these things that are found here in the Hemingway app, you can find in Grammarly as well. I tend to like the Hemingway app a little bit more. It's free, okay? So not just for my class, but for other classes, if you go ahead and put your papers into the app, read them out loud like I just did, look at some of the things that it says. Sometimes it'll have false positives, all right? And now it's showing is that if you look at what I was showing before, is that now it's showing a readability at grade 8, okay? I wouldn't worry about that so much. Grade 8 means that anybody who's had an 8th grade education can read this and understand it. And that's not, you're not necessarily trying to go for, you know, a 12th grade or a collegiate level necessarily if you're writing something that's accessible to everyone, especially if you're writing fiction or even nonfiction in the commercial sector. But even if you're writing essays for college, you don't want to get overcomplicated sentences. Again, this grade is referring to sentence structure. It just means that we've cleaned up the sentence structure, really. That grade right there doesn't always reflect what grade level you're writing at. So I wouldn't worry about that so much. So the use of the Hemingway app is really really good for college essays, because it'll get you to look at your essay in a different light and to see some of your problems, see some of your mistakes. If you're overusing adverbs, for example, in this case, it was taking 126 words originally, turned into 89 words, but 126 words, and it was calculating how many adverbs you'd be using. Adverbs and an ly, they're not always warranted. Okay, so if someone is walking swiftly, that means they're probably jogging. Okay. So you would just say that they were jogging instead of walking swiftly, or running quickly. Okay, it's not always necessary to use those adverbs. So use the Hemingway app. Use the Hemingway app on your papers for me in the future. It's free. I don't own it or anything like that. So I just found it as a good option. Grammarly has a good option too, but it often has aspects that you have to pay for, so I don't always recommend that, but the Hemingway app is a good option for you to use. Okay, that's all for the lecture on the Hemingway app, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.